Hi, welcome to Angular Development with Caddy. This is part of Caddy Security Plugins Mini Learning Series by Paul Greenberg. On the agenda today, we'll talk about how we can use Caddy to proxy Angular Dev Server, which is Webpack, um, how to serve Cypress video recordings of end-to-end tests, and how to serve Angular production build. If you have any questions about this video, please open GitHub issue, contact me on LinkedIn, or send me a direct message on Twitter. So typically, what we'll just typically the way how the application how we'll handle authentication and protection of your development is we'll use Caddy security plugins. So this means that you can develop your application on the internet without the fear of being breached. Um, Now, when we talk about Caddy, we need to speak about plugins. So Caddy is a web server, but it's powered by a collection of plugins. Plugins are being identified by keywords. So when you look at Caddy configuration file, which is usually in a format of Caddy file, which is Caddy file is a format of configuration, it will have keywords in it. So authenticate is a keyword, authorize is a keyword, reverse proxy is a keyword, and file server is a keyword. Now, whenever a config mentions that keyword, that's where plugins come into play, and then individual plugins will then perform actions on behalf of Caddy. Basically, Caddy encompasses all the different plugins in the system. So when you browse to your Angular app, you will be redirected. Instead of going to the app, you will be redirected to Authentication Portal, powered by Caddy Security. Uh, then, after you pass authentication in the portal, you will then be redirected to the app. Now, prior to you accessing the app, Authorize plugin will intercept that request and check whether you have the right credentials. In this particular case, is an authorization token. If you do, then in the case of Angular Development Server, you will be reverse proxied to a Webpack dev server that you started. In the case of, let's say, you run end-to-end tests with Cypress, and Cypress records a video for you, then file server plugin will make sure that you are able to browse to the files. If you build a production Angular application, then the same file server plugin will be able to serve your files to end users. All right, so now we are starting with the demo. Whatever I'll be showing you, it will be a mix of console and a notepad where I will be explaining the configuration. So let's start with the very basic. Let's serve, let's start Caddy. So we'll start Caddy, and here's a configuration file that I created. That same configuration file will be in my notepad, and I will go over it right now. So the first thing is I'm serving the web server on um, on this FQDN, which is auth.myfiresgateway.com. I can also serve that same app from an IP address on port 8443. That's actually the port that I use. The import statement that says TLS config. So import statement is a way to include snippets from other parts of the configuration file. So the TLS config here is part of this snippet. So whatever is inside the curly brackets will magically, when Caddy processes the configuration file, it will magically appear inside. The TLS directive. TLS is actually, remember how we spoke about plugins? TLS is a plugin. So it's a plugin that's built in within Caddy, and that plugin deals with with SSL termination. In this particular case, I have like I run my own certificate authority, so I generated for myself the key and the cert, and that what will be served to. So so there is a route called admin, and then you see those pound signs. Pound signs means that this directive will not be used. But there is something called trace plugin, and I use trace plugin to debug requests to the server. So for now, I will just remove it. Um, Authorize. So authorize. Remember how we spoke about the keyword authorize keyword. So authorize kicks in the authorization of a request. So our application that will be our Angular app will be serving it from an admin from /admin. And so prior to Caddy giving access to the application, it will be authorized. And so this admin policy is being defined in Caddy security configuration, which starts right about here. And the policy is listed here. So what this policy says is that if a user comes in and the user doesn't have authorization token, the user will be redirected to this URL, which is where I'm serving the portal. The encryption key that will be used, they are in environment variable called JWT shared key. There's an ACL that says will allow all users in that have a role of p/admin. However, if they don't have that role, they will be denied access to the application. So let's go back to authorize. So after you pass authorization, let's say you have a token and you have a role of p user, then these two directives get skipped because there is a pound sign. But what is that URI? Just in case you're wondering, URI is also a plugin which you can explore on your own. You can just type in Google Caddy Server URI plugin, and there will be plenty of information about it. Short summary of it is deals with the rewriting of, you can rewrite the request URI. All right, so here you don't have bound, and there is a plugin called Reverse Proxy. And so what we'll do, since the Angular, so what happens in this config, we are serving Angular from a dev server, um, which is powered by Webpack, and it's listening on port 4200 on localhost. What we need to add, usually when you see reverse proxy configs, they are pretty much have only this first line. But in our case, because Webpack auto-generates SSL, we'll need to say we need to add extra code here to say that we want to skip verification of a certificate, right? So that's what it does. So now whatever follows here, we skip it for now because this is more about production, but let's see how it works in practice. So I go to auth portal. Oh, it's not working. Why it's not working? Well, we need to start it. So we'll go in and we'll start running the authentication portal. So now when I go to the browser, I'll click auth portal. Here I am. I will authenticate with web admin and I will log in. I'll provide the password. I'm in, and then I have this nice set of links to follow. So let me just speak briefly about the links. So my identity is part of authentication portal, and it allows you to see what's inside of that authorization token. So for example, here's our roles. I'm in this case admin and a user, so I will pass that authorization policy. So let's browse to the app. So I click to the app. Oh wow, it's not working. Why it's not working? Well, you need to start it. So how do you start it? Let's go. I have a screen. So my application is called ngx of crunch, and I have this nice contributing file that helps me remember. Oh, I had it. Developers. All right, so developers file. So what happens here is I want to modify, since I am not serving the application from the root, and I'm serving it from /admin. I want to be able to modify. So I'll go to the source index.html, and instead of href being root, I will put it admin. So I think I already did that, but just in case, let's verify. Yes, so here it is. Here's admin. Okay. And then what does instructions? So then I will serve the server, the dev server, on on any interface. By default, it does only localhost on any interface, and my serve path would be /admin, and the public host is auth.myfiasgateway.com 8443. I will disable host checking, and I will be verbose about it. So let me start it. I'm starting. It will do a bunch of checks, but the gist of it, if you can see that we are serving it on localhost 4200. So now we started, and then it tells me go on your browser to this localhost. So now instead of that, I will click on Security Manager, and it will load the Angular application. So this is very simple Angular app, where I have a sidebar, and I can go to registrants, and I specifically, you see how I put this /app prefix in my routes. So this is very important when you want to rewrite things. Please ask me about it in a GitHub issue if you want to learn about it. But the gist of it, if I will right now reload this path, um, it will just work. All right, and that's because of the rewrite that's there. All right. So let's go to the dashboard. So what happens here is there's an API call to get information about the database powering that front end. So let's go back to, and so the cool part is that there is a NGX avatar for Auth Portal. That's what powers this, the image of me, right? And I can sign out. I can basically exit, and it will bring me back to the login interface, where I can log in back. All right, so I'm back in the app, or I can click and I can go to the portal itself. So let's click on the portal, and then I'm back inside the portal. So Security Manager, that's kind of the app. Yep. So let's go to the portal, and let's see how the following links, how do they appear? Why is the Security Manager here, and why is Cypress videos here, and metadata? So why there is that there is the snippet of links that you create. So one link for Security Manager goes to admin. There's an icon. The icons are line awesome icons, so you can modify it to whatever icons you want. There is a Cypress video, that's a path to videos, and there is metadata, which is an API endpoint. So let's go. What's that API endpoint? Remember, in the app there is this, like on the first screen, there is a database information. So I can click on that metadata, and that's basically the JSON that powers that view. Going back, so the links is part of authentication portal configuration, and you can learn more about it in one of my videos of how to configure authentication portal. The picture that you see on the screen, that the avatar in the app, that you see at the right top, this all comes from something called transforms, user transforms. And so in this case, if a subject in the token is web admin and I was authenticated from the local auth, it will add my name, Paul Greenberg, and it will add my avatar picture from GitHub. there's also this part where you enable admin API, so I'm able to query the authentication portal, and that's basically it. All right, so now let's stop the server, and nowadays in Angular, one of the popular end-to-end framework is Cypress. So we'll do, let me remember, package the JSON. So we do end-to-end. All right, ng e2e, and that's supposed to run end-to-end recording. So what happens right now is that there is a plugin called File Server, and the videos are served from that server. So we'll go to Cypress Video. Note the time, it was some days ago, like 15 days ago, last I generated it. So we now browse to this /videos path, and that is all handled by File Server plugin. So so now it's running. So I'm just waiting what I'm waiting for. So for the Cypress to run, you actually have to make a few modifications. So first of all, my Cypress is configured to work from the root. So I will modify the index.html instead of admin. I'll modify for it to work from the root. So after I modified the source index file, then I actually this ng e2e command will also not work for me because there's some modifications that I need to do. So if we look at the developers, there will be an instruction to say npx. So I will do ng run and then auth crunch Cypress run. So let's run that. So what it will do, it will now spin an instance of a browser, and then it will perform the actions, and then it will record the videos. So it uses Electron version 81 headless. It spins it up, and we can see that user visits this landing page and the results, and the video gets recorded. So as you can see, it finished processing and put that in this directory. So let's look at the config, Caddy file config. So in Caddy file, we we host videos under /videos. So anything that hits /videos would be redirected to a plugin called File Server. File Server has a configuration in its root. So the root of this directory, right? So if someone hits hits the videos, it will go to Cypress directory and the videos path. So for example, if I go in and I just check what's in that directory, you can see it's a Cypress, it's within the app, the Cypress directory, and within the videos, I have my video, spec.ts mp4. So now you can also see that in here you also have authorize with admin policy, meaning that you will not be able to access the file server to view videos unless you authenticate properly. And then the browse keyword here allows you to browse within the file server. So we go back, we have our Cypress videos link. When we click, we can see that we just generated the spec, and let's enjoy the small video of the interaction. So it's really simple. It's loading the page. It makes the who am I to get the information, and there is a dummy mockup of John Smith, and then we wait for the load of database metadata. That's about it. All right, so now let's go back. So authentication portal. So if you want to serve production Instead of reverse proxying dev server, you will comment out the code for reverse proxy and you will specify the file server directive with the root pointing to dist at authcrunch. Right now there are no files there, and I don't want to showcase it twice, but the idea is like the file server will serve your production app from there. Um, this route, this default route, is the one handling anything related to the authentication portal part, and that's authenticate keyword deals with that. Last thing, I want to thank you for watching this video. Please sponsor me on GitHub, start the project, and ask your questions on GitHub, Twitter, LinkedIn. Please connect with me. I'll be happy to talk to you and help you. Thank you.